Welcome back to the Marge on the Margins Fantasy Scene Generator Development Log, Episode 2. I'm going to try things a little differently this time, be a bit more improv. I found the last time trying to write up a script and follow it just too much time, especially since I pretty much threw it away halfway through anyways. So I'll talk about today what I've done for this week. It's now actually a week and a half, and unfortunately is not very much because I did not get to have too much time on it. But yeah, we'll just so what I had been working on and starting to get going. If we just bring up our little good old boy, the Green Goblin, he gets all the love around here. So yeah, so there, I'm starting to build a character screen. So what this will do is house all the details for a character when you spawn one in. Right now, all you can really do is just select the different types of animations I have. Standing still animations for him, what I've supported. And yeah, there we go. So got that working out. Although the window is one of the modern UI from the asset store, the drop down I just went to the basic Unity standard drop down list. Keep it simple. So I'm kind of using a mix of the Minsky's modern UI and Unity UI. This is actually a movable window, so you can move it out of the way if you wish. Seems to be a bit glitchy. We'll have to talk to Minsky about that and see what's going on there. But for now, it just is what it is. Anyways, eventually here, this will not only display the stats and capabilities for each of the characters, but you'll also be able to enter in the stats here, as well as what kind of actions tied with various animations that they can do, the dice they go, the dice rolls that will be associated with it, also what targets on the other characters that they will they'll be referenced against, and the results. And it's quite a few little nitty-gritty details in there, but I'm pretty sure I can put something together. However, right now all we have is our just guy here standing around waiting to have some fun. And eventually it'll also be all saved to a file. When you select a character, you can get a list of files that you can load in the details for. And I'm hoping that way to keep it generic, so it won't be D&D exclusive, and you can put any kind of RPG system mechanics tied into it. Anyways, we'll see how that goes. So as I haven't gotten too much progress to show, I'd like to go over and we can show what I did for this little menu system, which I created up. So with this, it's just a series of drop-down lists, slightly modified to make it look more like a collapsible menu. And when you go through, this actually references a list of prefab characters that I have, which my screen is so expanded you can't see it here. I'll have to bring it back. So let's spawn them in, and there you go. There's my knight. I don't know if I showed this. Oops. Close that menu. I also have, if you left mouse click, you can rotate him around now. Ooh, his rotation's not so good. The Green Goblin, here, this guy knows his stuff. He can rotate nicely because I've been updating him. The knights, who cares about, where do you go? There you are. who cares about the Bloody Knights? Anyways, let me just go back for a second and Alt-Tab to my screen, and I will bring in, there we go. Everything's working out. Here we are. Okay, so there, and now we can see my hierarchy window. And so what I've done, we just look over here into the hierarchy window. Under my character manager, close that down, I have my list of characters. And then this is sort of a hierarchy of game objects where everything will get sorted and added in. And populated. And these were where the prefabs are for that menu. And as what the menu does is it mimics this structure going through and populates the drop-down lists. And yeah, it's all fine and dandy. Here we can just go over and have a look at the code for that. Here we are. So here's where I initialize those drop-down menus, and what I do is I first find the drop-down list for the menu item here, clear it. It's a very standard Unity list parameter property. And then I also have this child holders, and what this is it's another list which contains a list of all the game objects that you see that popped up in the hierarchy. And so what I do is I loop through my character. This is the top. The character holder is this guy, the top level game object here. The characters, yeah, this is what I call the character holder. And then I just get all the childs from that, and then looping through for each child game object, I add it to my child holders list. And so that way the drop-down menu has an identical child holders list of all the children for the game objects. And then I add these with the nice little icons to the drop-down list, and then initialize it. This is the Minsky's drop-down list, so we have to do the setup drop-down and then animate to show the actual list, because I don't want to show the drop-down label on startup. So that's what I do here, is I hide that. And then what happens when we go over to the next? So when we have that drop-down list and we click on an item in the list, which is here, if child holder equals holder tag. Yes, that's the other thing, is each of those game objects. Let me just tab back. We go over here. So each of the game objects in the character holder has been tagged as a character holder. These are all character holders, and it keeps doing that all the way down. Everyone's a character holder up in the tag here until you get to an actual item, and for now they're just untagged. I don't really have a need to tag the actual characters yet, so just left them as is. So if you select an item, so what happens, you select an item in the drop-down list, and that gives us the item index, which we then reference to that identical child holders list. And from there, what I'm doing here is I'm actually now, oh, hey, there's a bug. I am actually creating a new menu, instantiating a new menu, where I make my current drop down is the parent, and then I just set up a proper name for it, enable it, and then here I just shift it over slightly so it looks nicely. And what happens at this point, when I instantiate the new menu, it's actually going to run the initialize assets menu before, and I'll populate everything. But instead of using, and just switch back here. So instead of using this guy as to look for the list of children, it'll now looks at the one you clicked on and will pull out all the children underneath that guy, and it repeats the process in a sort of a semi-recursive manner. Not fully recursive because I'm not calling itself, I'm calling different objects, but that's the idea, is that it's drilling down, going through each of those layers of game objects until, where are we? Until we get here, which is when someone is not the holder tag. And if I look up here, okay, holder tags are public. I actually write that in the editor to make sure it goes with the proper tag in case I need to change it. And then now, once I'm here, I'll find the child item in our mirroring child holder list, and that will be the actual mob prefab, in which case I instantiate it. I make it look, this little code here is to set it up so it's actually looking at I guess at the game master, or it looks at you. So when you spawn it, it defaults to looking at you, and then that's where you have the rotate capability to change its position. And and then once it's spawned, this activate top menu with false closes down the menu system, and then there you go. It's all good to go. Quite simple and snazzy. I'll just go back to the code for a sec. And what this sort of setup allows me to do is now I can just add in, whenever I add in new items, eventually I'll add literal items at some point, but when I add new assets, mobs, NPCs, characters, whatever I want to the GMs to be able to spawn in, I just create a new entry in these underneath these game objects and tag it up, add my prefabs, and then everything is good to go. The menu system will pick up anything new, and I don't have to do any more coding on the menu system. So here, let's go back to the game. See if we can show that again in action. So here we are. Blink. Nice close up. And go right click. And here, let's go mobs. It's giant. Something here. I'll show you one of the big beefy ogre base. I don't know who did the naming for these, but anyways, he's a pretty base ogre, all right. Look at that cod piece. You know you're up for doing business when you need a cod piece like that. I bet you that goblin is feeling a little bit of insecurities right now. And what about you, knight? He's not looking. Oops. Sorry, hang on. Just close that. Here. Let's face your competition. Oh, I gotta fix that rotation. There, see? That's what you're up against. A big burly ogre with a huge codpiece. Yeah. Or who knows? Maybe he's compensating or something. Yeah, so that's where I am now. Surprisingly or not, things are actually coming along in that I'm getting more and more of a better concept of how to put this all together. Right now, everything's kind of superficial. But next I'd like to work on is a move function where by left clicking, that's kind of strange. Anyways, by left clicking on these guys, it'll bring up a window that I should show a list of options of how to, what I can do with the creatures. Let me just show. I actually have it here, just hidden for now because it actually doesn't do anything. Character manager, where's the canvas? Canvas. Oh, so much stuff. And actions window. Anyways, there it is, my little action windows. It's not really going to do anything. The rotate function is going to be moved now to this window. And then I'll add on a move. The actions will actually come from that other window. The character window. That's this guy, where the GM will define the actions and then they will populate a list on the actions window, and you can select those and we'll have our guys doing stuff. Hopefully I'll have something of that, at least in proof of concept, working by next week. So yeah, so there it is, my latest progress. Not too much. At least not too much in actual development, but in my head, I'm working tons, sweating bullets, all in theory. Well, anyways, and next I should probably play around with the biome a bit, and stop that, close, and maybe get something more interesting than a desert. I think we've seen enough of that now. I know I'm starting to get sick of the desert, but it's nice and open, makes it easy for prototyping. All right, anyways, that's all, everyone. Hope you enjoyed. This was a lot longer than I expected, so yeah, I really hope you enjoyed our time together. We'll catch you next time, and till then, keep on rolling.